Hey folks, Nathan here from Star Wars Beyond the Films, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, and the Star Wars Reports Rebels Roundtable, bringing you some more of Wave 1 of Star Wars Armada's expansions. This is the Rebel Fighter Squadrons expansion pack, and this is one I was actually very curious about. It is a $20 retail pack, basically the same price as the Nebulon B frigate and the Corellian Corvette, but what we've got here is a new smattering, so to speak, a new selection of these little squadrons that come with the game that basically have three teeny tiny unpainted models on pegs, or on what they call tree pegs, with support pegs underneath, and then of course you have your plastic bases with all the different pieces on here, your squadron dials, and the little activation sliders all get put together into one thing here. But back in the core set, all we got were X-Wings. Now, with the Rebel Fighters Squadrons expansion, we've got X-Wings, we've got A-Wings, we've got Y-Wings, and of course we have B-Wings, as I was just showing there a second ago. So we got a little bit more variety this time than in the core set, and it gives you a grand total of 8 different squadrons here, which is pretty cool. The way I've set them up here has the regular version of the dial, and then the one with the specific character on it next to it, just so you can sort of see them. The design very similar to the design, of course, that we got back with the ones from the core set. Not changing the mechanics on us or anything like that. The thing you're probably most curious about is, who are those specific pilots? In this case, these squadron leaders, as they may be called. Well, for the X-Wings, we've got just a regular X-Wing squadron. We've seen that one before. But then we've got Wedge Antilles. Probably not a surprise there. We then have A-Wing Squadron with Tycho Celchu, and yes, very much like Merrick Steele in the LCG, looks like Tycho's doing a little bit of a gender bender thing. He looks kind of like a very womanish man or a very mannish woman. That's okay. We then have Y-Wing Squadron with Dutch Vander. And finally, B-Wing Squadron with, of course, everybody's favorite X-Wing video game character, Kian Farlander, in a B-Wing as opposed to an X-Wing. Of course, to go with this, you'll need some tokens. Actually, not nearly as many with this as you would probably expect. You have your 8 squadron tokens, because you need to be able to identify them, right? The squadron ID tokens. Then you have your total of 8 different defense tokens, mostly brace, but there is a scatter in here. And you got a proof of purchase. And that's it. Again, aside from those tokens that are built into the actual ships when you put them together, as I mentioned previously, it's a nice new selection. It adds some new dynamics to squadron play for Armada. This is actually the first one that really stands out as one that's not something that just repeats what was in the core set for the most part that we've looked at so far. Because this one does add those other 3 different starfighter variants for the Rebels. Pretty cool. Again, $20. I would say this is one to definitely add to your arsenal for Star Wars Armada if you're going to be playing in any high-level tournaments, or really if you're going to be playing very much competitively at all outside of just using the core set. This gives you a lot more versatility to your starfighter squadrons than we had just in that core set. We'll be back to take a look at the Imperial version of this.